All right, so we got quite a few people still logging in, getting connected, a few more getting connected to the audio. We had almost 200 registered for the class today, so I am excited that I get to take you on this tour of CubiCasa. We got about 2 more minutes according to my clock, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So just a little housekeeping. If you're logging in, you will find the Go To Webinar panel over to the right-hand side. Get doing something else, during the presentation, maybe step away for a call. Sometimes that go-to webinar will minimize, looks like a little flower at the bottom of your tray in your computer. So if you lose it and you're like, geez, I know it was open, sometimes it will just minimize and you can find it that way. But today, I wish we could be standing in front of you, but since we're doing this pretty much all over the state, the good news is you'll still be able to ask questions. I am joined by two of my favorite people. They happen to be colleagues and friends, and they're going to be helping me man the questions today. With 200 people on, I hope we get some good questions. I have to tell you, I'm very excited that I get to demo this because it is one of my favorite products. It is new through your participating MLS, and it's a new member benefit that you get that I'm really sure after today. By the way, it's live right now, so you can actually start using it. It's so simple, and I'm excited to show it to you. So I'm going to introduce the people who are going to be helping me man all of those questions. But the reason I wanted to let you know is that go-to webinar panel, if it's minimized, it may look like a red arrow or it may look like a little flower at the bottom of your tray. If you have any questions today, don't hesitate to go into that questions box. And like I said, we got people that were kind enough to help me today that will be answering the questions. And a lot of times they'll just ask your question and that'll allow us to sort of bring everybody in the loop. So don't be shy with the questions. That's what we're all here for. So it looks like we got about 1 more minute and then we're going to get started. All right. And along with that, I did put a handout in the handout section. So toward the bottom of GoToWebinar, you'll see some little expandable areas, and one of them says handouts. The handouts are basically a cheat sheet that Debbie was kind enough to put together for us. Debbie's our Director of Education here at My Real Source. And basically, she made a great handout that you can save to your computer. You can email on to others to get them on this great new member benefit. But basically, CubiCasa, you're probably thinking, well, what is CubiCasa? It has such a weird name. Well, if you think about it, kind of in the translation of the word, cubic obviously is measurement. Casa is house. So it's house measurement, but it does so much more. It's a complete floor plan app. It can do 3D and 2D tours. It allows you to get those room sizes. I love it as an agent myself because I used to be that agent that was always trying to measure with the little laser measurer back in the day, 25 years ago when I got my license, actually 24 to be exact. I would have the homeowner open up the long tape measure and measure those rooms with me, and it took like 8 times as long because you're chatting and it's great for, building that rapport, but geez, it took a long time to do. So what if I told you you could get those same great and very, very accurate measurements in a 5-minute scan just using your phone? I'm going to show you some easy ways. I'm going to actually show it to you so you can see exactly what to expect. And as I mentioned, it's live, so you can start using it now. All right, so we got just a couple more people logging in, but I want to introduce 2 ladies who are not only good friends of mine, but colleagues of mine, and they're going to be helping answer all the questions. They're also going to be jumping in a little bit, and Taylor is our first one. Hey, Taylor, how are you? Oh, I can't hear you.
Muted. Sorry.
Oh,
good.
No.
How are you?
Thanks, but I just unmuted myself.
Yeah.
Thanks, Taylor.
So Taylor, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Who am I? Okay. Well, for My Real Source, I've been working at My Real Source for 10 years. I do our communications as well as our real estate photography classes. So given the photo side of this, I like to help Colleen out and answer any questions on the back end as you guys need them. And I'll chime in a little bit here and there for you, Colleen, if you need me.
I would love that. And you're going to talk a little bit about copyrights too, I believe, on this one.
And the copyrights at the end and why that's important, CubiCasa versus some other programs that are out there that might be a little similar. So I'd like to go over that later in class with you guys.
That's awesome. I know many of the people on the call have taken Taylor's class via webinar. She teaches a great photos class. I thought as an agent of 24 years that I took pretty good photos until I took her class and I realized how much better I could do. So we're excited that you're here. When it comes to photos, I believe that you know a lot more than most and you're always helping me out. So then we also have Debbie Fajardo. She is our Director of Education. I just gave her huge kudos a minute ago for the great cheat sheet that we included in the handouts today. So Debbie, tell us who you are, a little bit about you.
Well, I'm going to follow in Taylor's steps here. I've been with My Real Source for 11 years, which means Taylor's coming up on her 11th. She was hired about this much after me, so I still gotcha. And then, of course, 11 years before that, I was working for the Realtors Association. So that makes 22 years in the business. Holy moly. So this is all I've been doing since I moved up from Florida, has been the real estate industry. And I love it. I love helping our members. This is the fun stuff.
Nice. And I'm jealous of the Florida part, especially today.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Yeah,
what
a little gloomy and cold today, but you know what? I guess it's been a pretty mild fall so far, so I can't complain. So, all right. So,
I'm going to go off camera. I'll be helping with all the questions in the back end, okay?
All right. Sounds great. Thank you both. I appreciate it. And I know we just got our very first question, and it's where is that handout located? That handout, if you open up your GoToWebinar panel, you're going to find a section for questions, which you can type your questions in, as this person did. And there's also a section for handouts. There's a PDF in there that you can download. You do have to save it to your computer, but you can email it on. It's just like a PDF. You can print it if you prefer, or save it to your computer or email it on maybe to your office. But with that, let's get into it. So I am really, really excited to take you on a tour of CubiCasa. I have probably done, I think, 9 scans on my listings when I was excited to test it. And by the way, we looked at many different floor plan apps. And I will tell you, this by far was our favorite. There's some things that are different in this floor plan app that we didn't find in any of the others that we looked at. And I really think make it superior. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and just sort of move some stuff around so we can get started. So you're kind of probably wondering, it's Cuba what? I mean, you know, I don't even know what that is. Well, basically, CubiCasa is a floor plan scanning app. It's very simple to use, and basically it's going to allow you to simply take your phone, turn it this way while the app is open, do a continuous walk through the home, and what it's going to be doing for you, and I'm going to show this to you in just a moment, it's actually going to be doing room measurements, and it's going to put together a full scan of the home. Now, this is a member benefit, so I am always one of those agents who loves to play with new tools. I don't want to have to learn anything that's too hard, right? Because if it's too hard, I think I'd just rather measure the rooms myself. But what I think you'll find is it's so simple. It actually will put 5 easy to read instructions in front of you. The instructions are basically turn on the lights, open up the doors, continuously walk, and don't turn too fast. If you do turn too fast, it'll give you a little pop-up message that says try to turn a little bit slower so it can get a full pan of the entire floor plan. But basically, when floor plan, and they were actually based out of Finland, they have people all over the world now. But they looked at there was a true need, and especially in the US, to make sure that every listing had a floor plan. So what I found amazing, I recently was in Finland, Norway, Denmark, and most of those countries include floor plans on every single listing. As a matter of fact, 97% of the listings over in Europe contain floor plans, but fewer than 10% here in the US actually have floor plans attached. So basically, there was a big hole. And by the way, of that 10%, that was mostly rental properties and new construction. It makes sense with new construction, right? Sometimes there's not an actual house to go in, so that you're seeing more of the renderings. But with now we have programs that are showing buyers homes. We have obviously IDX sites. We have people looking on Zillow and Realtor.com and Redfin, all these different places where you can see photos, and photos are great. But what really happens if you, especially if you have a luxury home, I just saw one in Shelby Township. I should have actually written down that MLS number so I could have shown you. But basically, it had 3 beautiful kitchens. It had kind of a mother-in-law's suite that had a kitchen. It had obviously the main level kitchen, and it also had a kitchen in the basement. They were all beautifully done, all, professionally designed. I mean, it looked fantastic. But the problem was the one I saw in the basement, I thought was on the main level, and I'm talking to my buyer about it, but there was no floor plan to actually see that. There was no way to know where that kitchen was just from the photos. Now, if you're a great agent, you're probably putting those captions and descriptions in, and that helps. But let's face it, buyers today, they really want to see the floor plan of the home. They also want the room measurements to know, hey, is my furniture going to fit in here? So I think what we're seeing is that sellers want to have a floor plan. They want more exposure to their homes. They want to make sure that those buyers that are looking at it, that's going to be a home that's going to interest them. The buyers want it because they want as much detail, especially in this market. I mean, we are still seeing a few homes that are being written on sight unseen, people moving up. And so we want to make sure that we are doing our sellers justice by making sure we've got great photos, for one, and that's where Taylor's class comes in, by the way. And 2, we're giving them as much information about the home, like the floor plan, like the 2 and 3D tours, so that they can actually see them. So here's kind of a good example of what you actually receive. So yes, they do want to know how big the rooms are, these buyers that are looking online, especially if they're out of state. Is my furniture going to fit? Is that layout going to work for me? If I'm looking at a condo, I want to see, is everything going to maybe work for someone who can't do stairs? Is this going to be the right floor plan for them? So this is a great way to include all of that. So why add floor plans to every listing? Well, of course, when you add floor plans, it makes you a more desirable listing agent because you're going the extra mile, right? You're including great photos, captions, and descriptions. You're doing the floor plan. You can even do these 2 and 3D scans, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. It's also going to help you generate more buyers. You're going to receive more calls on the listing, asking questions, seeing the floor plan. We know that previously when buyers were looking, if a house didn't have photos, they simply went on to the next house, right? Because things are selling very fast. They want to see the home. Is it going to meet their needs? And they were obviously going on to the next home if there was no photo attached. More and more of us are now including these great floor plans for that extra level of detail. So you're getting those calls, you're getting those things that you can post out onto social media to generate more buzz, get more buyers calling in. And of course, this allows you to sell the home quicker. I have to be honest, I have done, like I said, I think I've done 9 now of these scans on my listings, and I'm so pleased at how easy they are and how quick the turnaround is. The average scan is less than 5 minutes. Now, I'll be honest, my first couple, I probably took 7 or 8, but it was never more than 10. And I scanned a 3,200 square foot home. It was not more than 10 minutes. And it is a consecutive scan, but it's so easy because you're literally just walking through the home. You're continuously doing it so you don't have to take breaks. That's why they do want you to open up those doors, turn on the lights first. And then what it's doing is it's actually doing those room measurements. You're simply pointing your phone at the floorboards. You're standing approximately about 4 feet away, and you start your scan. And again, I'm going to show you an actual scan so that you can be very comfortable when you start yours. The other thing is you can also scan your own home. It doesn't have to just be a listed property. So if you're a little nervous, maybe you don't want to do your first scan in front of a seller, You can also scan your own home. And also, when I did mine, what I liked is I could pull out my floor plan from when I built my home, and I could see how accurate it was. What I really liked about that is I could see that it was in one area, it was less than an inch off, almost spot on from my floor plan measurements. In one area where it was a bridgeway, it was a little less than an inch off. I think that's pretty incredible, especially on a bridgeway, because as you know, there's not walls on both sides. So it can be a little bit more tricky, especially with light coming in on both sides. So the fact that it was still that accurate, I thought was amazing. There's different ways to get this plan back, but what I really liked, I was just talking to an agent yesterday about the CubiCasa program, and what I liked is I used to have to go and measure each room. And so by the time I go back with my listing paperwork and I'm putting the listing into the MLS, most probably I already am getting that email back with those measurements. So let me be clear. They say up to 24 hours to get your floor plan back. I've gotten mine. I know Debbie and I were talking about this. We've gotten ours in less than 12 hours most of the time. So if I go on a listing appointment at night, by the time I'm putting that listing in the morning, I have those measurements and I can add those into my room measurements when I'm inputting the listing. So I love that. I think it just makes it really, really simple. All right, so this is kind of what it looks like. Again, your average is going to be 5 to less than 10 minutes, depending on the size of the home. And you're seeing this person actually happens to be one of the engineers in Finland, but you're actually seeing him walk through the home. He's opening up the app, pointing at the ground. By the way, there's a little record button that you see there. You can even record the room names. So maybe you want to name it office. Maybe you want to name it dining room. You can include all of that. There really, other than what we're doing today, there is no training needed. And quite honestly, if you went in and registered through resources like we're going to show you, you really don't need training. That's how easy this program is. You're going to download the app after you sign up through the resources section, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. You don't need a tripod. You don't need any special camera equipment. It's going to work whether you are an Apple user, whether you're an Android user, you're going to be able to use it on your phone. If you have an old flip phone, just kidding. So in this, keep in mind, it's going to give you information in real time. It will tell you, again, if you make a mistake, it'll put a little banner right on the screen that maybe you're too close to a wall or you're turning too fast. That's the only two I've ever gotten. And it just reminds you to kind of slow down. But what I like so much about this versus the other ones that we looked at was this actually has a human that splices all of the footage together. So that means if you do turn too fast or if you do miss something, there's a human that's actually putting that rendering together. So they know if you turn too fast, they can see your scan. That's why it has to be continuous, because they're looking at that and they're placing that layout together. So even if you make a mistake or you do turn too fast, that human can see that, and it now can continue putting that actual floor plan together. So it's got some really cool elements. If you joined us late, don't forget, you can still put questions in the GoToWebinar panel. We've got a couple people manning it, and you can type your questions in that questions box so we can make sure to get you all set up. All right, so let me show you what it looks like in action. So I'm just going to play this real quick video. Actually, I think I've got it open right here. So what you're seeing is at the top left, this is actually what it looks like on the camera that you're looking through. The bottom left is actually what the camera is capturing. It's using that web technology. And then over to the right, this is the scan that human is looking over and piecing together for you. I like that a real life human is going in and making sure I didn't miss anything. So I could probably blow this up a little bit bigger so you can see it here.
What's really cool on the bottom right-hand side, The green line is the path that the person is taking through the house. So it's really neat to see what they're doing. And then of course there's the red triangle to see where the camera is pointing to.
I love that. And thanks, Debbie. I know you've taught this class a few times, so jump in with any great feedback you want to give. But I like that it kind of lets you see the overall process. And as Debbie mentioned, that triangle that you're looking, that's actually the human walking through the home. You can see that web design, and here's the finished product. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can get this finished product. I'm going to cover that. They're emailed right to you. But what I like is that you can choose whether or not you want the room measurements. You can choose different types of files. You can choose whether you want to use a file, let's say with the GLA for an appraiser file. You can choose whether you would prefer to use an actual JPEG file, so you can add it to the photos in the MLS. Or of course, you can do it as a PDF, and you can add it into the documents within the MLS. So several different ways that you can actually do that. All right, we did have one other question. Just to kind of recap, you can find that handout that I described in the handout section over in your GoToWebinar panel. If you blow up that GoToWebinar panel, which sometimes can be minimized at the bottom of the screen, or it may look like a red arrow, you will find a handouts section. In that handout section is a PDF. You can download it to your computer. You can email it on. So hopefully that helps. And you can always let us know if for some reason you weren't able to download it. Let us know afterward when you get your follow-up email, and we can always email it to you as well. Okay, so another thing that I did not find. So as I mentioned, we interviewed several different floor plan companies. But what was very unique and what we didn't find in any of the others was this really unique feature, and it works great on high-end or more complex properties. We're going to show you a really good example, which I swear I didn't even know existed, in just a moment. But what I liked about this, and we all did this when we were testing the software, is you can also do outside areas. This is a really good element. As you can see, this scan had a pool in the back of this luxury property. When the agent went outside and they walked the outside perimeter, you can see it actually shaped the pool. Now, one thing to note is that anything under 5,000 square feet, and we're going to talk about more about this in a minute, is free as your member benefit. So I have not been lucky enough to have a listing over 5,000 square feet, but do remember, if you're doing this outside pool, that is also going to count towards your square feet. So 5,000 square feet is your member benefit, which means you are able to go in, do even higher. I mean, like I said, I did a 3,300 square foot home in less than 10 minutes. I included the porch outside. I included the patio in the back. So it will also include those outside images. Taylor has a lot of property in a beautiful area with sheds and outbuildings, and those can be done as well. Just remember, if you're doing a lot of outbuildings, that is going to start counting towards your square footage as well. Okay, so one of the things that, again, I found very unique is the fact that you can do those outbuildings, that you can also do pools, and it will actually shape the pool in your rendering as you see here. Now this, I swear, I had to have Debbie tell me that this really did exist. We had to look it up. But this is actually an Airbnb, and it is in the shape of a shoe, believe it or not. And the reason this works so well in where we're talking about complex properties is you can see these walls are curved. I don't know if you've ever, I did have a listing, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful Lombardo building. But when I went to measure the curved walls, that was a challenge for me. I'm going to be honest. This will actually measure those curved walls. It will not skew the actual measurements. What I like too is you can actually see which way the doors open to the left or right. You can see which way the stairs are leading in. And there's some customizing that you can do when you get these plans back. I had my last listing, part of the basement was finished and part was not. when you go into what gets sent back to you, when you get your floor plan, you can go into that floor plan and you can choose to color coordinate things. So I showed the unfinished area in one color and the finished area in a different color, and you can label them. You can even put your branding on them. So I got to tell you, I think it's very, very cool. But here's the things you need to know. So when you do your first scan, you want to test everything. You want to test it all out so you can see the bells and whistles. Like I said, you can do your own home. Your first scan is completely free. So try all those cool bells and whistles. It's really designed for real estate agents, real estate photographers. Actually, funny story, you can't make this up in real estate, right? I recently had an appraisal done on my home, and they came in to do the appraisal. And she says, I just got to take a quick walk around your home. And I thought, okay. And, I had not had my own home appraised in quite some time. And so she said, it'll just take a couple minutes. It was like 4 or 5 minutes. And I said, can I ask what you were doing? And she said, oh, yeah, I'm just getting the floor plan of your home. And I said, oh, can I ask what you use? And she said, well, I used to be an appraiser in New York. I just moved here, but we all use CubiCasa. And I thought, oh my gosh, how funny is it that the person who's doing the appraisal on my home is also using the software, because it is one of the best floor plan schematics out there. And I love the human element, because I think that really does make a big difference. So you get them back in less than 24 hours. As I mentioned, most of Debbie's and mine have come back in less than 12. So if you're going on a listing appointment in the evening, by the time you're putting your listing in the morning at your office, you already have that floor plan in most cases back, so that you can add those measurements right into the MLS when you're inputting your listing. It does cover up to 5,000 square feet, and that's total scanned area. So you're probably thinking, okay, well, what's the upsell? I promise I'm going to get there. But when you see how inexpensive it is, I think you'll be very, very happy. You can edit the room names. Now, there is a little microphone, and I'm going to show that to you in just a moment. There's a little microphone where you can simply say the names as you're walking through. So maybe you want to say office. Maybe you want to say kitchen. But then you get it back and you're like, you know what? I should have called that the butler's pantry over here and kitchen over here. You can edit those names. You can rename them something different. You can also change the colors. Maybe you want all the bedrooms in yellow and the bathrooms in pink, so they stand out visually in the MLS pictures. You can do that. And again, you can even put your own branding on it. So lots of different ways to basically ensure that it has your look and feel. So the next thing is, okay, well, what happens, Colleen, if I go over? What are we talking? Is it big money? Well, here's the pricing. And this is why you have to go through the resources to sign up for this. I talk to a lot of people and they say, oh, don't worry, I just downloaded it on my phone. That's not going to do it. And here's why. When you go up and you sign up through resources, you automatically get 25% off all of the pricing. So here's how it works. If you go over the 5,000 square feet, which I haven't done in my 9, but if you're listing like a ton of luxury homes, well, that's awesome. And if you go over that 5,000 square feet, you would be looking at $15. However, you get 25% off of that. So I think it works out to be like $11.25 or something like that. So it's really, really affordable. You can also choose to have a quicker delivery. So let's say, you are listing the property in the morning, you want to have the listing in this afternoon, and you want to have all the room measurements and everything input, so you can just hit go and get it sold today. You can do a 6-hour delivery, again, for $15, and you get 25% off of that. If you wanted to do the GLA appraisal floor plan, you can pay, again, each one of these each one of these add-ons is no more than $15, but you can do the 25% off on top of that. If you wanted to do fixed furniture, you could do that as well, to show where the cupboards are on the walls, things like that. And again, it's just, I found the basic was perfect for me, but if you wanted to take it up a level, you could also do that. And again, you get 25% off, but that's why it is really important you register for your account the right way. So exciting new products. And matter of fact, when we first signed the contract, this wasn't even out yet. They do now have 3D floor plans. This is kind of a good image of a 3D floor plan. Basically takes that live scan and does a video rendering. The video rendering is usually 1 to 2 minutes. It's going to show all the property highlights. You can also do marketing bundles through them. They have 2D and 3D plans. And like I said, when you're going through and you are trying your first scan, check these things out. It's very cool. All right, so hopefully you got kind of a general idea of what CubiCasa is. Now let's talk a little bit more. They do have different marketing bundles that you can do with, you do the whole enchilada. You can add the 3D floor plan, furniture, colors and textures, the 3D rendering, which looks like that's kind of like almost like a, kind of looks almost kind of like a cartoon scan going through the home. But it basically is taking everything and they're matching it using AI. And so that they're matching it with what you're walking through. So it's got some very cool features, but you do want to check those out. You have all different bundling for that as well, but you do get the 25% off on those. The GLA digital sketch, again, you can get these with, sometimes they don't want the measurements on, they just want the floor plan of the home. You again can do that. It will show doorways, staircases, interior walls. You can label them on your own. But this is what it looks like when you go in to what gets sent to you to edit. And I really like this because this is where it kind of gives you a visual indicator of how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. So I can see there are 4 bedrooms very easily from this, 4 bathrooms. I love it if you have a partially finished basement. A lot of times I want to show how much of the basement is finished. If they've got 3/4 of it finished, I just don't want them to think that the whole thing's unfinished. So you can actually label that and color coordinate it. You can put your own color schemes, maybe to match your office, and you can even add your own logo. And again, they can be uploaded directly into the photos of the MLS, or you can put them into the documents so that they can be easily shared from the MLS too. Now, we here at My Real Source, we provide tech support to all of our vendored MLSs. So your participating MLS, we actually take those support calls right here in Michigan, so you can talk to someone who's knowledgeable of not just one product, but all of them. This is the only product that we don't support. And here's why. We can't see into your phone app, right? But CubiCasa can. So CubiCasa does have 24/7 support. As I mentioned, they are now all over the world. They have offices all over the world. They're based out of Finland. But this is the only one, the only product that we provide that we don't support. So there is support. You'll find it right in the app too. So if you're like in a hurry and you're like, geez, I just need to talk to somebody, I have a quick question, there's someone who can do an instant chat with you. You can email them or you can call them directly.
Hey,
So again,
Colleen?
yes.
Hey, there's actually a question I'm not sure the answer to,
Okay.
but perhaps you would know or have a suggestion. Somebody asked if they have an assistant that's not a member of the MLS, can they still use their account?
They would need, well, anyone can download the app. They would just need your credentials to do so. So if they are working on your behalf, could it be done? Yes, if they had your password, they could do that.
But usually it's per device, correct? If they might run across maybe a technical issue, but it's worth perhaps trying and seeing.
You know, I have used it on a couple different devices. So I can tell you I've used it on my son's tablet because I wanted to see what it was like. I've used it on my own phone, and then obviously you can access it, via the web. So I've used it on multiple devices.
Okay.
The big thing would be just knowing because it will ask you to set up a password. So, I usually kind of nervous about password sharing, but yes, it could be done. If you're looking for, can it be done? Yes.
Good. I'm glad you tried it because I had never tried that. So I wanted to, before I answered, I figured you had maybe a better answer than I did. So
I wanted to see how it was going to look on Jake's new tablet. So I had to, I grabbed his iPad and just wanted to check it out. So
yeah, cool.
Kind of that nerdy part of me.
Good question, Andrea. Thank you.
So great. And thank you guys so much for, we had almost 200 people register for this class. So thank you so much for, and we love it when you ask questions. It makes it kind of boring when we're just hearing ourselves talk, right? We love when you have questions but that is a good question. And here's kind of what it looks like again, we're going to show you exactly how to log in through resources to set up your account. And then what actually happens is it sends an email right to your phone. You download the app, and that's where once your password is set up, you can put your email and password in there. You hit next. And within a minute, you can start scanning. So it's really not hard. I think people get a little intimidated. I know I was terribly intimidated when we all started testing these. When we looked at other floor plan apps, I didn't think they were that easy to use, or I would miss something, or it would kept erroring and it would be frustrating. This is so simple. And again, we're going to kind of give you a little preview of what that's going to look like. It's basically you sign up, you start scanning, and then you get the floor plan. So it's that simple. So where do you sign up to make sure that you're getting all of the member benefit goodies, and you get that 25% off for anything additional that you want to order? You go right under resources, and Brian turned this on last week for all the vendor MLS, I think except one. And all you have to do is go under resources, under agent tools, you will find CubiCasa floor plans. It's that simple. Again, I've also attached it in the handout. Debbie was kind enough to make a handout that shows you step by step where to go. And then all you have to do is sign up, scan, and done. This is what it looks like. It's kind of give you the interface that you're going to see. He's going to ask you, are you an agent? Are you an appraiser, photographer? Who are you? You do want to select agent. Even if you are an appraiser, select the agent, because that's really what gives you that 25% off. So you do want to make sure that you are picking agent, and that's what gives you that 25% off. All right. So when you get the email that tells you download the app, I always like to see, well, because there's so many different apps out there. I was kind of like to see what it's going to look like. And it's going to look just like this. It looks like kind of like 3 arrows combined together. Or almost looks like an almost play button, I think. But it will say CubiCasa. You'll see kind of this green box with the 3 arrows, and very, very easy to simply download the app. All right. All right, so let's open it up for questions. As you can see right there, that's really what it looks like when you are going to do your start scanning. You literally are going to turn your phone. It will give you 5 simple instructions that pop up. It will say, please make sure you have all the doors open, lights on, move slowly, and do a continuous scan. And then you literally hit the button to start scanning, and it's going to walk you through taking that scan and that floor plan. Again, we actually added something. I know it's not really in the slides here, but to show you, so I pulled it up ahead here. I kind of wanted to show you what it's going to look like when it comes back to you. So I grabbed the first one I did for my house, because I kind of wanted to show you, okay, when you get it back, what does it look like? How do you see it? So I'm going to bring up the one from my house, and it even finds where you're standing. That's something else that I found really amazing, is it's actually going to say, is this the address of where you're scanning? We'll ask you, is it a single family home, a multi-family home, or an apartment dwelling? You're going to actually pick what you're choosing to scan. It will then pop up the address, and that's how it's going to know. So basically, when I started my scan, it already knew, hey, are you scanning 70559 Nature's Way? So then when I get my order back, let me show you exactly what it looks like. It's going to say, okay, here was the information. Here was the total scanned area of the home, was a single family home. As I scroll down, this was the basement of my home. So I have a playroom, furnace room, laundry room. You can do it with or without the dimensions. As you can see, I've got the GLA floor plan here as well. When I'm ready to go to the next room, I'll try to blow this up a little bit so you can see it. You can see, whoops, you can see that it's bringing in those measurements for the kitchen, the breakfast nook area, and I went outside. I actually did the patio out back. You can see where the windows of my home are. You can see closets, and I did each level, and then it also does a combined level. So if you wanted to put the combined levels all into the MLS photos, you can do that as well. So, and then below it's going to give you all the details of all three. So I love how easy this is. Again, you can go in, you can hit edit, you could change them from, maybe you wanted to color coordinate the baths, or you wanted to color coordinate the bedrooms. All of that can be done. You simply open it in your browser and it will ask you what you're looking to edit. So I think it's very, very simple. It also, when it sends you that report, as I mentioned, it's going to send it in different file formats. There is a PNG that you can add into the photos of the MLS. There is the JPEG, which you can obviously download into the additional documents. And this allows you to have everything within the MLS. If you want to email them directly over, maybe somebody called, you got a buyer call, they wanted to see the floor plan, you can quickly email it, even directly from the MLS with 2 clicks. Makes it really easy. And again, you can choose whether you want with dimensions or without. So I know it's not really part of our our PowerPoint, but I just like to show you I'm one of those people, I like to see the real thing. Show me the real thing. I want to see how it's going to look. And so that's exactly what it's going to look like when it comes in your inbox. All right, now Debbie, I know you've taught this quite a bit. Is there anything I missed that you want to sort of jump in and elaborate on?
No, you got it all. And I love how you showed your own home and what you did. Yeah, the personal experience is always there, because when I did my scans, I failed to prep for it. So I'm trying to open up doors and turn on lights while scanning, and I'll tell you, that was a very stupid decision on my behalf.
It does take a little longer. That's why I said that's really the hardest thing, right? I mean, you've done many now, and really it's opening the doors, turning on the lights. So, and one question that always comes up here, and Taylor had the best example, I think. If you have an area, let's say they're getting ready to move, and you're going in to do a scan, and there's a lot of boxes. One of the concerns was, is it going to know that those boxes aren't that it's not a wall? Is it going to know that? And that's where that human element comes in. I also love that if you have a Pro phone, if you have an iPhone, any of the Pros 12 and up, I have an iPhone 12 Pro. If you, and you know this by the way, if you have the 3 camera dots on your phone, it actually, when you start your scan, you're going to see this web look. And that web look, it almost looks like I have an 11-year-old, so we watch a lot of Spider-Man. It kind of looks like Spider-Man's going through the home. You see these webs going all the way from the ceiling to the floor. These webs are actually measuring right down to the inch as you're walking through. So if you have the 3, it will work on, even if you don't have the 3 eyes, it's still going to be very accurate in your measurement. But the 3 iPhones, meaning that if you have a 12 Pro or above, if you've got those 3 camera lenses, what that means is you're getting really, really accurate results. I mean, and it's really cool when you're going through, because you can see it's actually webbing all the way up to the ceiling. It's really quite interesting to watch. So very easy to do, very easy to sign up. Again, you're going to go to resources. If you are in your go-to webinar panel right now, you can find that in the handouts. But basically, you're going to go into Paragon. Actually, I'll just show you real quick. Instead of telling you, we'll just show you. I'm sort of a hands-on, let me show you kind of girl. So it just makes more sense sometimes when you can see it live. If you go into Paragon, I guess I do need to change my theme. It is no longer 4th of July, but if you go into Paragon under resources, you're going to find agent tools. You're simply going to go down to CubiCasa floor plans. If you missed anything in the demonstration today, we are recording this, so we will have this uploaded to the vendor MLS playlist so that you can go back, and see all the great information again. So if you missed anything in the video, maybe you had to step away for a call, you can go back and you can watch it again. So remember that the big takeaway is you do need to register through resources for all those member benefits. You get up to 5,000 square feet free as your new member benefit provided by your participating MLS, but you do want to make sure you sign up there first. Another question that usually comes up is, well, Colleen, if I already downloaded it on my phone, yes, you can still go in and go into your settings, but you do want to make sure that you are registering or setting up through resources so that you get that 25% discount, okay? All right, any other questions? Anything I missed? Taylor, did I miss anything? Oh, Taylor wants to talk a little bit about copyrights, I think.
And actually, while she comes on, I've got a few questions in here. There's been a lot of questions about the scan itself. It's one continuous scan. And you're like, where do I start? I just started from the bottom and worked my way up. When I hit the first floor, that's when I would have gone out the front door, around the back, scanned the pool, gone back inside and head up to the second floor. It's easiest to just plot your path.
One continuous scan is what you did, Debbie, right? For
Yep,
your two-story home? Okay. Because
Yep,
I have a ranch, so mine was a little bit different, but that's what worked for you for your two-story home.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, that was one of the questions, was just how to kind of continuously scan and where to start. There was a few of those, working your way up, but
yes, there is no pause button. So you do have to, when you start, you have to be ready to scan the home. Again, it only takes between 5 and 8 minutes generally. So, but you want to have, that's why it's so important, as Debbie mentioned, have the lights on, the doors open. And I did the exact same thing that Debbie did. I actually started in the basement at the far corner, walked the whole basement, went up the stairs. Because remember, it's even going to diagram which way the stairs, whether they go up, whether, you know, how it's going, which way they face. So I did continuous scans of the finished basement. Then I went up my stairs. I did just as Debbie did. I also have a colonial. I did the main floor. That's when I stepped around to the front patio, or the front porch, and then the back patio. So all of that was in my schematic that I showed you. And then the third floor, but you're going to do them all at once. There is no pause button. And the reason that that takes place is, it's not to make it difficult, it's that, remember, a real life human is actually eyeing that. So if you keep pausing and jumping around the house, they don't know where you started and where you left off. That's why it has to be a continuous scan, so they can piece all that together. If there are boxes, if there Taylor has a basement where she had some of the kids' toys and things like that, and she's like, geez, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do a scan today because I've got a lot of the kids' things out. It will look past all of that. And that's really where the eye of the human can very quickly detect, okay, here's the wall in this scan.
Yeah. We had baby gates up. We had toys against the wall. We had lots of boxes in our basement from our just a lot of hand-me-down things that we've got. So there's a lot of clutter in our back part of our basement. So I was nervous to do all that with everything, because you can't even see the walls down in our basement. Basically, it's stacked. So it did a really good job. The humans did a really good job picking up on that with the measurements. One question, Colleen, too, was about, is there something special that they have to do to get the square footage and measurements, or is that something that's provided to them? Do they see it on the fly? How can they expect that to work?
Great question. It's actually provided. So when you get your email, and I'll kind of go back to my example, when I got my email, it will, when you click on view my order, because it gets emailed right to you, it will provide you all of the ones with measurements or without. So this is the actual email. I'm just opening up the real life one I did. It's giving me the basic property information. But as you can see right here, I can choose whether I want the dimensions or if I want it without the dimensions, if I just want so maybe you have kind of a small main level, you want to show the layout, but not so much the room sizes, you can do that. So you're just picking whether or not you want the dimensions or not. you scroll down, you'll find them that way. If you just want to download them, if you don't want to go all through them, you can simply download them as a PNG, a JPEG, or an SVG, and you can choose whether you want the dimensions or not. It'll also give you the home information that's up above in case you wanted to include that as well. All right, so this is in the actual way it's delivered. This is a real life scan.
And one thing that I just wanted to chime in on about this product that we as a team, as well as our company attorney, was involved in bringing CubiCasa on. And they were so great to work with because we wanted to make sure that the agents were getting the copyrights to this work. So the images, they were not keeping this data for themselves, and you guys were violating any kind of copyrights used. So part of the sign up process when you choose agent under resources through Paragon, those copyrights are automatically in place, which is really nice because then that data is staying within the MLS, within the agents, within the brokers, and keeping that data growing in the actual MLS database, and for something for you guys to use for any other, ways that you deem necessary. But there's a lot of other products, as Colleen talked about, that we looked at, and other ones that are coming down the pipeline in our market area that offer very similar things. Tours as well as floor plans and stuff like that, and they're packaging them as this nice little pretty bow on there for you to have, and they'll come and scan this or give you the tools to scan it, some of them. And you really need to look at the terms of service, and majority, if not all of them that we've looked at, do not include copyrights to the agent. That was something that we worked hard to make sure that we got for you guys. And there's a few other ones. I don't know if we want to say the names of them, but there's some out there that are going to be, getting marketing materials for that definitely do not include your copyrights for you guys. So just keep in mind, if this is something that you like, try not to be tempted by using some other ones, because then you're giving that data away that is then being resold to you. And those copyrights will not reside with you. So did I say that enough? Did I hit that home?
You did. That was
Okay.
good. Yes. That was good. All right. Debbie, any other questions you want to chime in with?
Yep. So there's been a lot of just the minute details on how do I scan? What about this? What about this? All those little things that do make up a great scan. And there are some great questions in there. So what I did do is I sent out the video link in the chat to everybody. That was CubiCasa's really short how-to video. Because we were able to show the one in class here, but it's not as if Colleen could take her go-to webinar and walk around the house and show them how to do this.
I wish I could.
Yep. So the
would
video
be a little more challenging.
I know, that'd be kind of fun. So yeah,
with my luck, I'd fall down the stairs trying to scan and talk at the same time. Not that coordinated. Thank you, Debbie. So that's great. So Debbie said she put the video link right in the chat, so you can click on that. And just one more recap. What you're seeing right here is the actual process. You're opening the scan, and it's asking you, are you going to scan a single family home, an apartment, or a multi? That's it. You're going to turn your phone and start your scan. It's really that easy. And it will show you right in front of you. It'll give you those 5 steps again, opening the doors, making sure there's enough light, turning on all the lights, and then you're going to start a continuous scan. Remember, there is not a pause button. So this is not one of those things where you want to, I'm going to do the first floor and then come back. It does not work like that. You want to make sure you're ready to scan the entire home. Doesn't matter. It will look past the clutter. That's not what it's looking at. It's measuring the rooms and the layout. So as Taylor mentioned, even if you got a baby gate up or you've got, it knows that's where that human element really comes into play. But you're seeing it right in front of you. That is as hard as it is. All right. Any other questions?
I love it. These questions and responses are awesome. What a great group. Oh,
And
good
you know
one.
what?
What
You
happens
know
if
what?
sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
What happens if the phone rings or notifications come in while scanning? Yeah, I know you agents are never off the hook and never not busy for a minute. I would silence my phone, kind of like before I did on this morning's webinar that I failed and had a call come in while teaching. But
I
you
have
can
had
ignore
this
it.
happen. I have had this happen, and it does put a banner. It does not affect your scan at all. It does put a little banner at the top that shows you who's calling, and you can accept or reject the call. So it's just like when you're getting a call, you know how it pops up and you can accept or reject. I would not take the call right then because I think that then you would have a problem. At least I would. I'm not that coordinated, but yes, it does still show you, but I would not take the call. I would wait the 5 minutes and then call them back because it does need you to have that continuous flow. If there was a pause button, like I said, it'd be great, but then they wouldn't know where you started or stopped. So, but very good question. Nice to see you, Connor. I haven't seen you on a webinar in a while, so nice to see your name popping in. All right. I wish I could take credit. It really is so easy. It's almost like I don't want to, I can tell you, I am not the most tech savvy person. Debbie will tell you, I'm not the most tech savvy person. You really can't screw it up. And like I said, your first one, you can add everything in for free. You can test it all out, add the furniture staging, add it really, it allows you to go in and test everything. Remember, it's free up to all your other scans after the first are free up to 5,000 square feet. So again, I've yet to go over my 5,000 square feet. I guess if you're listing beautiful luxury homes, that would certainly be possible. But do remember, if you're doing the outside, that does count in your square footage as well. So
Yep, and the basement and the garages, because my home is 3,500 square feet. So I'm like, oh, I'll be fine. No, because there's the full basement, the 2-car garage, the outdoor area. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah,
yep.
but it's
But
okay.
again, on your first one, even if you go over the 5,000, so if you're going to list a luxury property, do your first one there.
Yeah, definitely. And we have had the question, can I use my free one on my second scan? Because I want to use that on my listing. I'm like, sorry, you cannot.
No, yeah, it's just the first one that it gives you that. Good question, though. All right. Is that it? Is that the last of our questions?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
All right. Well, I want to thank so many people for taking the time to join us. And thank you, Taylor, and thank you, Debbie, for helping man all of the questions. Hopefully that gave you a inside look. I think once you do it a couple times, you'll find it is so easy. You cannot mess it up, I promise. There is support. Remember, you'll find that as soon as you download the app, they do have a support section. You can reach out and talk to a real life human, and they are 24/7. So even if you need help and it's later because they're around the world, they have offices all over. So hopefully that gave you a nice, good look into CubiCasa. And I hope you guys, I hope you list a lot of properties and happy selling. All right. Have a good day, everybody.